Alright, so hopefully it's not too loud in here, but I figured you guys would want to see this. So I'm setting up a new tank. It is going to be a 40 breeder, and it's going to be, well, I don't want to call it a for-profit tank, because basically all my tanks are for profit at this point. You know, either profit or some type of odd plant shrimp-loving pleasure. But even then, it's still nice to make a few dollars off your shrimp and your plants. So really all of my tanks are for profit, but this one is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do. I normally do single species tanks because I feel that works the best, especially if you really just want to kind of pump out that species. In this case, these are two really easy to breed species. You kind of just add water and food and you're done. So I figured I would bring you guys along and kind of show you what I'm doing as of now, and we can kind of watch it develop and see if I decide to add any shrimp to it later. Alright, so that being said, what we have is a 40 breeder. Now this currently has one super red male in here, and this guy's actually looking pretty good. Keeping an eye on him. I got him from a pretty bad breeder. The breeder got his stock from a person who's actually, I think, pretty well known for super reds. But he had a garage set up with a lot of cichlids and like just an overcrowded 30 with these guys, and he was just mashing in food. So his stopped breeding for him, and he sold me 4 females, I think intentionally, and then I had to go back and pay twice as much for a male. So which it definitely was a male, but it was emaciated. I brought the poor thing back to life. And it's actually now breeding. It's doing great for me, so I'm really happy that I actually kept it and just, you know, took the risk, gambled, and medicated it, and used kind of, you know, my knowledge of medicating fish and getting them healthy. Because now this guy's made a ton of babies, and they're in a 10, like, so the adults got to come out now, and they're going to be staying in this 40 breeder, so. Alright everybody, so it's been a few days since I last worked on this tank, but we're going to go ahead and finish it today if I can catch the fish that I want to catch. But yeah, so what we're going to be working on is this 40 breeder here that is across from the 125 Oaxaca tank. So far I have got 2 super red bristle nose in here, 1 male, 1 female, and I've got 1 other female I can put in here, but the male and female that I currently have are the best ones that I have, so leaving them in there together might be best. See, I'm not sure on that part yet, but for plants, we'll go ahead and turn the camera around so I can kind of show you guys and explain. Alright, so I've actually got to go back and do this part. That's why you already see guppies, but I guess I forgot to hit record. But for plants, anyways, what we have is triangle moss, Ludwigia repens, unknown bucephalandra that was given to me, some type of Rotala, don't know what it is. I bought Rotala macrandra, broadleaf, and I got this instead. It looks good, I like it, but it's not what I paid for. So it's going to stay. Then we've got flamingo crypt and some other crypts over there, but the main plant for this tank is going to be the moss. Now this is triangle moss. I'm actually was having a few issues. I hope it starts to take its form again, but like right there, it's actually got some thicker fronds. You guys really can't see it, but from my experience, mosses really like good fertilizers. They like good micros and macros. Regular dosing really helps them grow and develop those thick, beautiful fronds like you see in my Brazil moss tanks. And this has actually started to kind of come back around. I've got another frond of it, and it's really thick, a lot similar, or very similar to the Brazil moss that I have. And I'm hoping it turns back into its good-looking stage. I pulled it out of a tank with lower light because it always had duckweed on top of it and never really got fert dosing. So this gets regular fert dosing. We'll see if it comes back around. If not, I do have like a little frond saved in that tank. I'm hoping this didn't get infested with Java moss, because that is a possibility, but I'm looking at it like right there, and that does not look like Java moss, but this could be Java moss. It's hard for me to tell. I think I'm good. I think it just was not getting the ferts that it needed. But anyways, it's super red. trying to find the food. But yeah, those are the plants. Alright, so here is Panda Guppy tank number 2, and number 1 is right down there. Now, that tank is full of Java moss with a few crypts. These Panda Guppies look good, or they look great, really. Occasionally I get ones in here that I don't like, and I do pull them out, put them into a Panda Guppy full tank, just to kind of work on the genetics and keep them breeding, you know, as good as I can, as true as I can. So yeah, that's one tank. And then we have the other tank over here, which currently nothing gets sold out of. These guys are on the website, but nothing gets sold out of here yet. These ones just have longer fins, and I noticed on my females, a few of the females in here have very long dorsal fins and bigger pectoral fins, and they're a little bit darker than these other ones as well. So I do want to work on them. I will select the best of the best out of here, put them into that 40, and then the rest of those will probably just go into that 20, and hopefully some of their better genetics will go into that 20, and then the best of the best go into the 40, and you know, hopefully in a few months time I have a lot of very nice Dumbo ear Panda Guppies. But yeah, anyways, we'll go ahead and we'll get started on this. Alright, so that should be all, if not most of them in here, in which it's not a lot. Some of these won't go in, most of them will. And I'm probably going to be tearing this tank down, so I can see fry in there now. They haven't been breeding at a very high rate, likely because this tank gets overlooked just because of where it is. It's under 75, kind of pinned between this. So it gets overlooked a lot. It gets fed daily, sometimes only once daily when it probably should be 2 small feedings or 3 small feedings. It gets 1 larger feeding, or really just 1 small feeding. I don't believe in doing large feedings if I can help it. But yeah, this is actually the tank that I did my DIY under gravel filter video on. And I just wanted to point out that even with fairly low light, like that is just 1 LED up there, equivalent maybe to 1 T8. The Ludwigia Repens does really good. I've actually trimmed a lot out, and that's what's in the 40 now. All this Java moss does great. It actually has a really thick, bushy form to it, and these crypts are doing pretty good as well. That one back there is actually starting to get kind of big. So plants do very well actually with under gravel filters, especially because plants like oxygen at their roots. The beneficial bacteria that create nitrates are the same beneficial bacteria that directly feed plants. Plants do not absorb soil. They absorb the nitrates, the ammonias, the nitrites, and the byproducts left over from the bacteria breaking those organic compounds down. So I just wanted to point that out. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on this tank, and as fry start to grow up and get good color on them, I'll either put them into that 40 breather or into that other 20. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and take these guys, sort through them, and get them temperature acclimated first. Sort through them, and then put them in that 40 breeder. Alright, so to save a little bit of time while temperature acclimating, I'm actually just going to go ahead and take the temp of both waters and see what the difference is. So this tank up here in the middle of my room, or the kind of high end of my room, is at 79.5 degrees, and the guppies came out of 76. Let me make sure that's right. Let me shoot that water. Yep, 76. So it'll be a little bit warmer up here. What's the temp of the fish room? The fish room's at 77 roughly, so I think it's probably cooled off a little bit. But this will keep them a little bit warmer. To be honest, all of my guppies are on the floor level, and they do fine. No heaters. I've tested their water at like 70, 72 degrees, and they do fine. It may slow their breeding down and their reproductive rate, but they do fine. I don't have any issues with constipation or sick fish. I think that this strain does perfectly fine in cooler temperatures. Now what I am, let's see if there's anybody I don't like in here. That boy doesn't have all the color that I want. Some of them might not be done growing yet. He's really good. She's beautiful. Alright, so I'm going to pour out some of this water. Alright, so that is all the guppies in. I only took, or didn't put 2 in. So it's kind of hard when you're just looking at them, and I used the little clear plastic cups, but it's kind of hard for me to decide what I don't like when I'm looking at them individually. It's a lot easier for me to decide what I do like when I look at them in a group. Because when I get the group picture, I can kind of say, okay, well, these ones look better and those ones don't look as nice. Kind of like I do with my shrimp, once I get them all in, I'll slowly start picking out ones that I do not like as much. But a lot of these females are, let's see if I can get this one on shot. That big girl back there is kind of what I'm going for. So she has a much longer dorsal fin, and her colors are consistent. Her color's about the same as the other females, but her dorsal fin is much longer. And I've noticed that kind of crossover to the males as well. I've got a few males in here with a very long, pronounced dorsal fin that actually kind of spikes itself up when they're flaring, almost like a sailfin molly. So it's pretty fun to watch. But that'll be something I slowly work on over time. And I've got one male in here specifically that has a very nice dorsal fin, and you can kind of see that guy there. He'll flare out that dorsal. They all kind of see how he flares it, but there's another male in here that really flares his out, and it's quite a bit bigger than everyone else's. I think that might actually be him right there. Kind of hard to tell. But I really enjoy watching that because I am a sailfin molly fan. But yeah, so that is the current setup for now. And she's like flaring hers, and it's kind of hard to see with the black backdrop. She actually has a nip out of hers too. But I really like that look on her. I mean, it's not necessarily a good trait to have long fins in guppies because it can really just kind of wear them out, having all that extra finnage. They get really tired, they don't last as long, some of them can't even breed. But in this case, with it just being the dorsal fin that's long, I think it's going to be a lot more manageable and possibly even be perfectly fine for the fish. So we'll just have to see over time how they develop, and if I can get in here and do the adequate culling that I need to improve the line. But yeah, that'll just be something that I'll have to see if I have the patience to do or not. But anyways, they are a good line. They come from, these ones specifically came from Michael's Fish Room and Corey at Aquarium Co-op. So I got a breeding group from both of them. And yeah, this is what I have today. So yeah, I think that is basically it for this tank. Hide that a little bit. There we go. Alright, so that's basically it for this tank. If you have any questions, put them down below. I'd be happy to answer them. Let me know if this is something you guys want to possibly see updates on. I do intend to do updates on this tank. This is going to be something that I hope you guys could replicate in your fish rooms, in your fish tanks, a very profitable as far as plants, fish, shrimp, and everything in it goes. So that's kind of the idea behind this for me, is to have a rarer moss that sells for more, for, you know, that same small portion. I don't know what I paid for this moss. It was either, I think it was $9 to $10, something like that. So as opposed to Java moss, where you sell a small portion for $2 to $3, you'd be making 3 to 4 times as much off of you know, a nicer moss like Brazil moss, triangle moss. You can get pilo moss, peacock moss, any type of moss that's not Java. They all seem to grow at a fairly good rate if you give them good light, and good ferts for moss is something I've definitely noticed. But yeah, also just, you know, putting in rare, unique fish, getting shrimp in there, everything that just sells good, all in one tank that does good together, that won't prey upon each other too heavily, and you could have yourself a very profitable tank that pays not only for itself, but, you know, for other tanks as well. And I do think that'll happen here with Super Reds, Panda Guppies, rare mosses, rare plants. I think it could be a very cheap cost tank and a very profitable tank at the same time. So anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want to see updates, any questions, comments, let me know. Give it a thumbs up or thumbs down if you want to see more of the content or less of this type of content. So yeah, anyways guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Alright, so we're actually going to go ahead and end this with a Betta hendra feeding. If you can see in here, there's actually at least 3 different sizes of Betta hendra. I will be setting up a new tank for these here in the near future. I think I'm going to go with a 30-gallon, and I'm just going to allow them to breed in a community of themselves. That way they're easier to manage, and I mean, the parents just do not bother the young at all. I don't know how or what's going to happen with 2 adult breeding pairs, if they'll still breed, or if one will prey upon the other's fry. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to see how that works. But yeah, for now, we're just going to squirt in a little bit of, not baby brine, not adult brine, but juvenile brine. And that way the young ones and the adults can eat. And the tank that you're looking at has the most Betta hendra in it. There's another one over here with Betta hendra, but I don't know if they've been as active breeding or what, or if I just can't see as many babies because it's a darker substrate. But go ahead and squirt some in here. Hopefully that is good. We'll do another little feeding over here to finish those off. Make sure everybody got a good mouthful. And these get fed basically daily, 1 time a day. I feed them once a day. When I knew they were frying here, I was feeding more frequently with like vinegar eels and microworms. But at this age, they seem to be doing fine. They raised themselves up on no food that I put in there at all. So I'm assuming they were eating on Daphnia and, you know, other microcrustaceans that are, you know, eating off the mulm and leaves in there. So you can see kind of the way the tank is set up. But, yep, I'll be setting up a new one of these here in the near future. I say the near future. At some point in the future, they'll be getting moved to a 30, at least a 20 long, but probably a 30-gallon. Yeah, that is the Betta hendra update on top of the Fish for Profit tank.